lately I have been feeling a little bit like my brain is turning to mush, or as the kids call it, getting brain rot. And as much as I would like to blame menopause for this situation, I honestly don't think it's the whole culprit. In fact, I think that this little guy and the apps that I have on it might be more to blame than menopause. And today I want to work on doing something to counteract the brain rot and basically reignite my curiosity in learning new things. So let's go into the office and we'll chat about this little project that I am creating right here in front of you today. Let's get situated here. Okay. I think I'm all in my chair now. Hello and welcome back, y'all, to the third in the series of Creating a Life to Love. And today's going to be a little bit different. We're still working on a project. It's just not going to be quite as physical of a project. It's going to be a little bit more cognitive, let's say. And if you're new here, I am Christy, the Genx Gypsy, and this is a slightly different series of videos that I've been doing that's kind of a behind the scenes of my life that I am trying to create a life, well, like the series says, I'm creating a life to love, doing the projects to simplify my life and bring things into my life that I've been wanting to incorporate into my household or my living or whatever that I just haven't had the time to do. And now I'm putting the focus on that. And I figured if I made it something that I was accountable to my audience, then I would actually show up and get these projects done. So let's talk about today's project. Like I said, I have been really getting sucked into lately spending hours on Instagram, especially at night before I go to bed, which is the worst time. We all know the worst time to be on social media. It's not great for your brain. It's not great for your sleep. I mean, there's just so many reasons that you shouldn't be scrolling in the evening. And that algorithm has really gotten me sucked in. But it is really funny because those little spies that I think are in our phones and our computers must have heard me when a few weeks ago I mentioned something on my stories. And if you follow me over on Instagram, you might have seen this. I talked about how I wish there was some sort of system that was like Girl Scout badges for adults, meaning that there was a way that we could go out and try new things or learn new things and do like certain tasks in order to earn a badge, much like those of us who were in Girl Scouts or Girl Guides or any sort of scouting program that you might have been in. Or I think there are other programs besides scouting. But anyway, that type of badge earning program, I wish that there was something like that for adults. And I had several of you that also responded and had ideas for things that you would want to earn badges in. Well, once I put that out on Instagram, then all of a sudden I started getting things about this idea called a personal curriculum. So Instagram and YouTube, I all of a sudden started seeing videos and reels about personal curriculums. So I did a little bit of a dive into the personal curriculum because I thought, well, that sounds pretty similar to what I was talking about the Girl Scout badge idea. Well, it is and it isn't. So if you have not heard about personal curriculums, this is something that I guess a gal over on TikTok last year, about this time, it's been about a year, that she went super viral. Gosh, I'm saying words hard. Maybe I should drink a little more coffee and be easier to talk. Let me take a sip. Sorry for the slurpy noises. She went super viral for putting together a personal curriculum and she was kind of the first one, and I don't know her name. If I find out what her name is, I will have it linked below. I honestly am not on TikTok all that much. My TikTok for Genx Gypsy is actually run by my daughter, so I don't get on TikTok. Instagram is what sucks me in, and I will get lost for hours in Instagram. But if I find her name, I will put it in the description below. So she put together a program. From what I gather, she decided that she wanted to learn things that, that in more of a structured and intentional way than just picking up a book or two here and there. So she decided to come up with 4 or 5 courses that she was going to take over a set period of time. And we'll get into kind of the set period of time. I think for her, she was doing 3 months at a time. And then she went in and did the research to figure out what items and media that she was going to use for her, basically for her syllabus and her curriculum for each course. So I think she used Reddit. She went in and did research into like what those courses that are teaching those subjects, what books that they were using to study that, and then put together a whole curriculum for each of the subjects that she wanted to study. And I applaud that idea. I think it's great. And I've watched several other YouTube videos of all different people that have put together personal curriculums of varying different types. What I have come to the conclusion for me, I think that I hate to use the word traditional because it's something that's only really been around for like a year, or at least been out in the public eye and viral for about a year. I don't think that the actual personal curriculum idea is for me. So I think that I want to create my own sort of system or project. And I think I'm loosely calling it if I can pronounce it, I'm loosely calling it the Curiosity Project. So I think that's the name that I'm going to put on it right now. If I decide that it should be something else further on down the line, maybe we will rename it. But I think for now, I really like the Curiosity Project. It's a little nod to Gretchen Rubin's The Happiness Project because there are going to be some similarities, I think, to the project and how I'm going to set it up. And it is going to be a very organic and flowing sort of project in that I'm going to start in one direction, and if it feels like I need to change things up, I am going to absolutely change things up. It's not going to be static. I'm not going to set any rules from the get-go. I'm going to set some parameters and we'll work within those parameters and then see if that actually helps me to achieve the goals that I want to achieve. Mainly, the reasons that I want to do this are there's several reasons that I think this is a good idea and why I want to do this. Obviously the brain rot we've talked about before. I just feel like I'm getting dumber. Like I don't feel like I have anything good to talk about if I'm out at a party or, talking to people out at dinner or something like that. I feel like, aside from books that I've read and Netflix shows that I've watched, I don't have any other topics of conversation that I really feel comfortable or have the knowledge to talk about. Nobody wants to hear about YouTube, and I feel like I really put so much time and focus into building my YouTube business, and that was what I was learning about for the past like 5 or 6 years. I really put a lot of time into educating myself about YouTube. So that is not something people are bored of listening to me talk about YouTube at this point. So nobody wants to hear that anymore. And I'd really like to be a little more intelligent and have more to talk about. I'd also, like I said early in the introduction, I'd like to reignite my curiosity. I found that lately I'm having to work at being curious about things, and I find that kind of sad because I used to be a very curious person, but lately it just feels like I don't have that. It doesn't come innately. I just feel like I don't have that wondering about things. I get curious about people and people's stories. Like that is something that I am very curious about. And sometimes people are like, Christy, can you stop interviewing me? You can stop asking me questions. And I do get a little bit interviewee because I'm curious about people and their stories. But I'd also like to be curious about other things and learn about other things. I also think it's a great way to practice being a beginner. And I think this is something, especially for Gen Xers, I think that we struggle with that really messy part of being a beginner in anything and doing things badly and poorly and maybe just making horrible mistakes and being okay with that. I think it's great practice to really try new things and be okay with being really bad at it. There's something else that's been popping up in a lot of my Instagram stuff that I've been watching too, and it's about bringing more whimsy into your life on a daily basis to kind of spark joy. So I think this all kind of goes together. And one of the themes that seems to come up over and over again on these how to bring whimsy into your life list is to practice being a beginner at something. They use like watercolors or some sort of artistic endeavor, doing things poorly as an example of how to do that. In fact, today my daughter and I went and played pickleball, and it was the first time I had ever played pickleball. Loved it. Had such a great time. It's one of my 60 before 60 list items. So now I get to mark that off. And I am really excited to find other people to play pickleball with this summer because I had so much fun. But I was terrible at it. Like it was not, I had to really hand-eye coordination is not my thing. But I still had a great time, and I didn't mind that I was really crummy at it to begin with. So I think that being a beginner and practicing being a beginner can bring so much more into your life as you learn new things. And lastly, I just would love to have a little more intellectual stimulation. That is something I feel like has been missing because I haven't been taking any classes. I haven't gone to a university type class in over 30 years. I mean, I've taken some courses here and there for real estate and other things. I did a bookkeeping course, but that's not the same as really learning for learning's sake. So all that to be said, that we are going to create, I'm hoping that you're in this with me. Let me know in the comments below if this is something that you have struggled with too, is wanting to be more curious and having more intellectual stimulation in your life. I hope so. I hope that you'll join me on this little curiosity project. I think that how I would like to proceed with this is some structure that's similar to the personal curriculum and some structure that's maybe a little more Girl Scout badge-esque, let's say, more task-oriented than reading-oriented. So this is the way that I have decided. I've been taking notes over here. I have my little notebook that I was doing last night when I was working on this and trying to figure out how I wanted to structure it for myself. So I have a list of subjects and activities that I wanted to pursue that I've been keeping in my notes app on my phone. Now I would like to, this is a little bit of a segue off of this for a second. I would like to start putting together a notebook ecosystem for myself so that I don't to just get me off of my phone even more, because I don't hate it, but I would like to not be using my notes app as much on the phone. But it is so convenient because I have my notes app here and then it pops up on my computer. So it does make it really easy to keep track of things on the notes app. So I won't do away with that completely. But like the list of subjects that I'm interested in, I have been putting in my notes app, but I really prefer to have it like somewhere that it's handwritten down. It just, I don't know, it feels a little more intentional that way, I guess is the best way to put it. So I have my list of subjects. I don't think that I can do 3 months on subjects. I just think that I don't have that long of an attention span. And I think there are some projects that are going to take a lot less time than 3 months. So I think I'm going to shorten my timeline for my for how long I want to pursue each particular subject. I think I'm going to shorten it to 8 weeks. And there are people out there that do like month-long personal curriculums and 6-week personal curriculums. I feel like a month is too short because I end up with so much going on in my life, and you are going to need to, or I am going to need to make sure that I have the time to be able to work on these subjects, that I want to give myself enough leeway that if I'm going on a trip or I'm doing something else, that I've got other projects that are being taken care of, that I have enough time to work on each subject. So I've decided to do 8 weeks, and I'm going to choose 4 subjects for each 8-week period. And since we are starting with summer, I have decided to try to focus on things on a kind of seasonal basis. So I'm going to take the different subjects that I have, and I'm going to look for ones that make sense for the different seasons. And of course, I'm going to continue to add to that list as things pop up that I might be a little more curious about. So for this season, for my first round of the Curiosity Project, I am going to be I want to look into Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island history. And we'll get back in a second, we'll get back to why I want to choose that one. The second one is I want to study patio vegetable gardening, because that's something I want to start and I want to get that going. And now is the season to do that. So I want to learn as I go. And this is going to be, well, we'll get to that in a second. The third thing is macrame projects. And this is because back during the COVID era, I bought stuff to make like macrame planters and macrame purses, and that never got done. So I have the stuff in my shed to do these projects. And I think whatever subjects that I can do that I have the least amount of barrier to entry for are probably the best subjects to start with. And then my last subject is going to be a subject that's going to be ongoing, and that is learning Spanish. So I'm going to call it Spanish 101A for this first 6 weeks. And that's where we're going to start with the Spanish. Back to why I chose each of these subjects for this particular time. So the Nova Scotia Prince Edward Island history is because I am taking my mom there in August, September. I've got to get that trip booked, but that we are going to be going either the end of August or beginning of September. And I would actually like to know more about that area before I go and visit it. So I will be looking for books on the history for that area. I'm going to look for some documentaries if I can find them, and maybe some YouTube videos on other people that have traveled to Nova Scotia, above and beyond the Anne of Green Gables book series. I'm not going to read the Anne of Green Gables because I've already watched the whole TV series, and I just don't have time to read all of those books in the 8 weeks. And I really want to focus more on the history of the area outside of the literary history of the area. And that's why I've chosen that subject as more of my traditional educational subject. And then the next subject, like I said, is more of a project and like sort of a science subject, and that is learning how to do patio vegetable gardening. Now, I have done vegetable gardening in the past, but it has been several years, and I'm sure lots of things have changed and a lot has stayed the same too. But I do want to just do a deeper dive into how maybe I can create the best tomatoes in herb garden this year. So that is I want to study that. Again, I'm going to look for some books on patio gardening, but more so, this is probably going to be look up YouTube videos on how to create a patio garden from scratch. And then a third thing that I'm going to add into studying this subject is the new Zach Galifianakis. Is that how you say his name? The documentary that he has on Netflix about gardening. I'm very curious to watch that. So that is going to be part of the curriculum or tasks that I'm going to check off for the patio gardening. And then the macrame, like I explained before, I already have the product here. So I really would like to make a couple of hangers for the porch project. I think that those would be really cute out there with some plants in them. And then the purse, I've just always really wanted to make a macrame purse. And I think they're really cool and they're fun for summer. So that mainly I chose that for the summer because I actually have the product on hand. And then of course Spanish is something that I have been trying to learn for years and I just haven't found the right way to do that. So I'm going to be I'm going to be researching part of this first 8 weeks for the Spanish is researching the best ways to learn Spanish because Duolingo is not it. I don't need to learn Spanish, like I don't need to learn how to write Spanish. I just want to be conversational in Spanish. So I'm going to look into italki, which is where you work with a real person and you have conversations, half-an-hour conversations with them. I'm going to look into podcasts that I can listen to that are in Spanish and maybe some TV shows, maybe a telenovela that I can watch so that I can start picking up more Spanish that way. I know a lot of people that come to the US in order to learn English, they watch American TV. So I know my good friend who's from Venezuela, I know that she watched Friends in order to learn English. So I'm going to reverse engineer that for Spanish. That is what I have for the first 8 weeks. And I've already kind of like tentatively laid out what I think I'm going to do for the next 8 weeks. And my 8 weeks, I'm not going to start until June 1st. So I'm going to spend the next like 2 to 3 weeks pulling together the different things that I want to accomplish for each of these projects or each of these subjects. So I'll make a list of the books that I want to get or read. I'll make a list of the YouTubes or the documentaries. I'll make a list of the actual tasks that I want to accomplish for each one so that I have those goals already set up for when I start the curriculum June 1st. I will probably start the patio garden before that, but like I said, this is all loosey-goosey. No set rigid rules for this. Mainly, I want to put some intention behind these studies and also keep me focused on just these 4 subjects so I'm not getting pulled off in all these different areas because I want to learn this or I want to start doing watercolors or I want to learn about the gut health or I want to do, I don't know, something else that, I have all these things that are like pulling me to try. This will keep me focused for a period of time and knowing in the back of my head that once I accomplish these and I finish with my 8 weeks, then I can move on to another subject. It's not like it's an all or nothing, that I've got to do it all at one time or I'm not going to be able to do anything. What I'm looking forward to doing in August and September, like I said, tentatively, the first subject will be gut health. I have been fascinated about gut health for years. And I'm curious to see what new research, because there's new research coming out all the time on gut health. So I really want to do a deep dive into gut health and what I can be doing to make my gut health better and why I need to be making my gut health better. And along with studying gut health, I want to learn how to ferment things. So like ferment onions, maybe make my own sauerkraut, maybe do some kombucha. I don't know, but I want to play around with learning my own fermentation because that stuff is expensive. Like I love Cleveland Kitchen has some amazing fermented foods, but it's really expensive. So if I could learn how to make it myself and make it in smaller quantities since it's just me, then I'd really like to do that. And then the third thing that I'm going to do, my more like creative project, I have an iPhone photo course that I bought probably 2.5 or 3 years ago that I have never completed. So that is going to be my focus for August and September, is working through that iPhone photo course, which I'm sure they've updated. I know that they've updated it as the time goes on. So I want to work through that course and learn how to better use my phone for photos and video and all of that type of stuff, because that's what I do. And it'd be nice to know all the little secret things that are on the iPhone to be able to use. And then I will be continuing on. The fourth thing will be Spanish, and continuing on with whatever I have decided to work to, how I'm decided to learn conversational Spanish. The difference between what I want to do and the personal curriculum idea is that what I want to do is going to be way more activity based and a lot less reading based. I like to read, but I like to read for pleasure. So reading textbooks is not generally going to be something I'm going to really want to delve into. So my readings are going to be, I will probably have like one book, maybe two books for each subject to read during the period of time that I'm working on those subjects. I don't want to overwhelm myself with reading, because I do have, I mean, I guess I could count those books towards my 50 book read that I want to read for 2026. I mean, that would make sense, right? If I'm reading the books, I should be able to count them for my books. I was just thinking in my head that they would mostly be fictional, but they don't have to be, because I like nonfiction biographies too. So yeah, just thinking out loud, I can absolutely count these books that I'm reading for these projects towards my book count. Glad you're along for me to figure that out in my head. So yeah, I am really excited to start this. So I'd love to know from y'all if you are interested in creating your own curiosity project, if you would be interested in me putting together like a curiosity project planner or worksheet or something of that sort. Just let me know in the comments below if that's something you're interested in. Also, I am curious that, we talked about the badge system, like getting the badges for each project, and I'm trying to figure out like some sort of reward that I would get at the end of each session, of each 8-week session, that I could get for each of the subjects that I have gone into. Or if you decide to do your own curiosity project, what would be a good reward to get at the end of doing this of each project? I mean, it'd be kind of cool to do badges, but I mean, that's going to have to be, you're going to have to create your own badge, because all of us are different and we're all going to be studying different subjects. So I don't know. That's something to think about. One of the videos that I did watch, she put a dollar amount to like each task that she finished for her different subjects. And I can't remember how she actually did the breakdown, but ultimately she did it so that, she gave herself $1 for each book read, or $1 for each, like if she watched a documentary, for each like thing that she checked off for that curriculum. She gave herself $1 and then kept track of the money, and then used that money to do something as a treat for herself, like either get a massage or something like that. So that is an idea. I mean, money is always a good motivator, right? I mean, I don't know that I need to be overly motivated, because I'm already pretty motivated to do this anyway. So I don't know that I need a reward at the end, but it does feel like it'd be something fun to do. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm open to all ideas on that. I am not, again, this is all sort of a new thing that I am creating, sort of, but I'm just piggybacking off of other people's ideas, obviously. It's not really like my own creation, but it is fun. I'm enjoying this. Is really just thinking about doing this project has got my brain cells like going. I'm really enjoying it. One thing that was brought up in multiple videos that I watched that I think could be a concern, and something for you to think about when you are putting together your own curiosity project, is to not get too caught up in the planning stage, that you could spend so much time planning out your subjects, what you want to do for each of your subjects, and especially if you are a research person, that you're going down and you're going into the weeds and Reddit, or you're looking into university level courses and what they're using as textbooks for their subjects. If you get all into that planning, because planning is fun. I mean, most of us like to plan. I think a lot of y'all that are here with me are planners, especially since you like to travel. Um, I think that you can get really caught up in the planning stages of all of this. And then when it comes time to execute, actually working on the project, you might be very burned out by that point, and you don't have the motivation to move forward with studying the subjects that you've chosen. So that is something to be careful of, to maybe limit the amount of time that you spend planning what you are going to do for each of your subjects, and just keep it simple and short. I think that I am going to keep it where for each of my subjects, I'm going to have no more than 5 things for each subject. And some of those may be very simple, but 5 things to accomplish for each subject. So that could be like one book, one documentary, a movie that I watch. I don't know, those things, maybe a couple of papers that I read. Uh, Keep it very, very simple so that I don't get overwhelmed with too much, especially the reading, with too much reading and too much text. Um, it would be interesting to figure out. I guess my project for like Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island history is my project's going to be actually visiting those places and seeing the things that I have read about. So I don't know that I'll have like an actual physical project that I do for that subject. But we'll see. We'll put something together. So I will keep y'all updated. If you are not on my Patreon yet, I do have a weekly newsletter that I send out that I will keep you updated on how the Curiosity Project is going. So if you want to join that, I will have the link below so that you can join my Patreon. You can join for free. There is a paid version that gets a few extra little things. But if you join for the free version, you'll get my weekly newsletter, like I said, and I just do a lot of behind the scenes stuff on the newsletter. I will be doing the Curiosity Project. I also do my 60 before 60 list that I will update people on. And then just various things that I come across during the week that I think are interesting, I will share with you. That's all the newsletter is. If you want to join, that's where I'm going to be updating about this. So I think that I've rambled on enough for this video. I am curious. Please give me all of your ideas and thoughts on this whole Curiosity Project in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I think I'm going to be doing the kitchen clean out as my next video, and I might touch on my weight loss journey on that video as well. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure that you are subscribed. I am so grateful to have you all here with me today. I hope that you find lots of joy in your life, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.